Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The National Security Minister speaks out about that FBI probe.
We've got the latest on a change of venue in the Frank Smith extortion trial.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. The Prime Minister tonight on the defense over his handling of members of the media in recent weeks. From a promised BPL probe to allegations of corruptions at the Immigration Department, Dr. Hubert Minnis has repeatedly dodged questions, with his aide getting aggressive with reporters on Monday. Well, Minnis said while he is the Prime Minister, he is a doctor first, and doctors always tell the truth.
I don't listen to rumors. Right? They have called me every manner of things in the world. So I don't listen to rumors.
The Prime Minister responding to public backlash over his aide's handling of a situation with reporters yesterday. After touring the new Fusion Superplex with members of his parliamentary team, Minnis took questions from the press, using the opportunity to defend himself and how he handles reporters.
The press represents and send messages to the entire Bahamas. It's essential for the Bahamas to know what is going on within the Bahamas. Nassau is not the Bahamas. Others throughout the Bahamas are listening. It's essential for them to know what's happening. And that message is transmitted by the leader of the country, Prime Minister, who is me.
The Prime Minister has come under heavy fire over this moment at Bahamas Convention Center yesterday, when his aide was caught on camera swatting the mics of reporters as they sought to get an interview with him.
Don't put the mic in my face.
But that happened only days after this moment. People are saying that $300 VAT exemption is ineffective, Prime Minister. Any response? And more than a week after this interaction with a Nassau Guardian reporter questioning when there will be a BPL probe.
I'm talking about where the hell did they travel? Stop looking at those texts, man, and stick to the script.
Minnis promised again today that that probe will happen.
I made a commitment that we will investigate the matter, right? And we will investigate the matter.
And now Minnis is stressing that he has nothing to hide and is open to talking with the media. In fact, he took it a bit further, saying he's willing to tell the people the truth, good or bad.
First and foremost, I'm a doctor. A doctor tells you the truth. That's our training. Okay? We are trained to listen, after which we analyze, and we come up with a diagnosis. The diagnosis may be bad, but we still must tell you that. Good news or bad news, we must tell you that. I am a doctor. Thank you very much.
Well, the Prime Minister also responding to a threat from doctors to take industrial action if a meeting with officials from the Public Hospitals Authority does not go well on Friday. Consultant Physician Staff Association President Dr. Loxie Monroe said the association will officially notify the PHA of its plan on Friday. However, Minnis says the government won't allow the situation to get that far.
It's only a matter of communication. I'm sure the physicians would be in meetings with the Public Hospital Authority and the relevant authority. It's only a matter of communication, negotiation, because first and foremost, the doctors want to ensure that their patients are cared for and their care is never, ever compromised.
According to a leaked copy of the CPSA's proposal, senior physicians want a payout of up to $15 million more than what is currently paid. Currently, the total pay package stands at over $10.5 million, but that would shoot up to nearly $30 million if senior doctors get their way. Senior physicians are also reportedly asking for their base pay to be increased by $50,000 over a 5-year period. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sand said while management wants to resolve this issue, their offer will not be more than the public purse can handle.
I believe that the PHA management and board are quite willing to make a very generous offer, acknowledging the contribution that our professionals play. But at the same time, that offer cannot be made in isolation. It has to be something that the people of the Bahamas and the Public Hospital Authority can afford. It would be unreasonable to make a commitment that cannot be met by the public purse. And by extension, it cannot be met by the people of the Bahamas.
Now, the health minister said he does not want to prejudice negotiations by commenting on the proposal, but believes that PHA officials will be fair in their negotiations.
The Public Hospital Authority is prepared to make a fair and reasonable offer to all of the professionals who provide service to the Bahamian people in the delivery of healthcare services. Anything else would prejudice the negotiations, and I'm not prepared to do that.
Well, the Anti-Corruption Unit is now investigating corruption claims involving current and former senior officials in the Department of Immigration, according to Attorney General Carl Bethel. It follows an affidavit filed in Washington, D.C. by an FBI special agent regarding an alleged visa scam in the Bahamas. Jillian Gray has that.
The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation's 2-year sting operation, which uncovered an alleged bribery ring, is now in the hands of the Anti-Corruption Unit, which is joining the FBI investigation to look into the fraud-related matters involving senior Bahamas immigration officers.
As soon as I received a copy of a sworn affidavit lodged in foreign proceedings that named certain names, I was away in Paris at the time. I immediately forwarded it to my officials and instructed that it be referred to the Anti-Corruption Unit of the Royal Bahamas Police Force since early last week.
The lead conspirator in the FBI visa fraud case is Edward Israel Santil, who is accused of encouraging illegal entry into the U.S. According to recorded meetings, Santil received up to $15,000 for work permits from Chinese, Jamaican, Spanish, and Haitian nationals. As he claims, immigration officials did not process work permits unless they are paid. He also allegedly boasted of a close relationship with both the current and former top immigration officials. Pratt said in a statement, "I do not know the individual. I have never sold or received bribes for any permits or anything else in my 5 years as director." The Attorney General said Bahamian authorities are doing what they must as they owe it to the named public officials to fully investigate what he called unverified claims.
Let's bear in mind that what we have at present are unverified allegations made against public servants in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and in foreign proceedings. And we owe it both to the Administration of Justice and to these persons to have this matter reviewed so that if there is nothing that can substantiate it, that would be known. If there's some other problem, well, that will also be dealt with.
The FBI investigation began in October 2016. The bribery claims are reportedly detailed in an affidavit by a U.S. federal agent. National Security Minister Marvin Dames said there is presently no information implicating public officials.
To date, we have no information, none whatsoever, despite what may have been reported in the press, all right, implicating any of these individuals.
The National Security Minister added that joint investigations with countries including the U.S. are not uncommon. He added that the Commissioner and his team have received a full debriefing from U.S. officials.
And if it is found out that evidence does in fact exist and that persons here have been involved and laws she had been broken, then we have to do, that is the Royal Bahamas Police Force, that is, they'll have to do what they have to do.
Now again, the Attorney General said Bahamian officers are engaged in this FBI investigation, and they are simply trying to ascertain all of the facts as it relates to those allegations. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. While the opposition is demanding that the Minnis administration seek explanations and lodge a formal protest with the U.S. government on corruption claims. PLP leader Philip Davis called allegations against current and former senior public servants in the Department of Immigration scandalous and defamatory.
This is all the more important as the reputation of senior government officials have been called into question. In our view, at the very least, the following question must be asked by our government. How could an untested and an uncorroborated document with hearsay evidence be produced in court in the U.S. jurisdiction, which clearly alleges malfeasance in office against individuals whose names were allowed to be made public? Further, there's no evidence to support the allegations in the affidavit.
Furthermore, Davis says he has been advised that none of those named officials were given the opportunity to defend themselves, yet their names have been scandalized. He said the AG's announcement of an investigation by the Anti-Corruption Unit is too little, too late.
The government ought to take it up with the U.S. authorities, because once they became aware of the allegations, one would have expected that they would have made it known to the authorities here. They will collaborate and coordinate an effort to determine the efficacy of the allegations and move forward. So it's a bit late now to say I'm going to engage the Anti-Corruption Unit after the names are out there being scandalized.
Well, the Frank Smith extortion trial was delayed today as the court had to change venues to hear the matter. Jared Higgs has the details.
The Frank Smith bribery trial will be conducted in the Industrial Tribunal on Bank Lane. This after Crown Prosecutor Edward Jenkins, QC, informed the court that due to the lack of a functioning air conditioning unit at the court, it would be difficult for him to focus on a case of this nature. He asks that the court consider another venue, noting that all parties should see the venue beforehand and that the public has proper access to the venue, including members of the press. To the contrary, Smith's attorney, Keith Knight, QC, stated that it would be shocking to suggest that the court was not suitable in his home country of Jamaica. He noted that on that island, the vast majority of magistrates' courts did not have special cooling units. Knight went as far as to suggest that Jamaicans would freeze if seated in an air-conditioned courtroom, and that 3 portable AC units could cool the current courtroom. Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt described the diverging viewpoints of the parties as a cultural idiosyncrasy. She noted that another concern was whether members of the public in the gallery could hear counsel when they were addressing the court. When asked if they could hear, members of the gallery offered mixed responses, with several of Smith's supporters insisting they could hear fine, while others in the gallery said no. Ferguson Pratt also noted that she had seen a courtroom being considered for the matter and feared that it was only a fraction of the size of the magistrate's courtroom number 9. Another concern was whether the change of venue would result in a procedural irregularity. However, after a nearly 2-hour break to visit the new venue, Ferguson Pratt told the court that the matter would be moved to the Industrial Tribunal on Bank Lane, currently occupied by that court's president, Indira Francis Demerit. The Chief Magistrate noted that the new space will provide adequate seating for both the public and press. After the issue of venue was settled, Ferguson Pratt sought unsuccessfully to have the matter proceed, telling both parties that she did not wish to lose any more time. However, both Jenkins and Knight agreed that a witness scheduled to testify was no longer needed. In addition, the prosecution indicated that 2 witnesses set to give evidence had called in sick. Now, ultimately, the matter was adjourned until Wednesday morning at 10:30 in the Industrial Tribunal building on Bank Lane. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, on the heels of Bahamas Parent Light data, which revealed the average light bill in the Bahamas increased by nearly 50%, and some Family Island residents saw their bills increase 5-fold, opposition leader Philip Davis says ERCA has become a toothless tiger. Vonnick, too, has that.
I don't play with children. That was opposition leader Philip Davis's response to BPL chairman Dr. Donovan Moxey, who suggested that Davis was being irresponsible for feeding into rumors that BPL had increased bills by 70%. Well, Davis said today that's not Moxey's job to engage with politicians.
Listen, I don't play with children, man. I asked the let me just put it this way. The chairman ought not to be involved in political invectives when it comes down to dealing with issues that have become political.
Amid public outrage over soaring electricity bills, BPL officials slammed as erroneous reports that the embattled power company hiked consumer bills by 70%. Data provided by the company revealed the average residential light bill in the Bahamas increased by 45% over the past year. Though New Providence residents saw their bills increase by 22%, Mayaguana residents suffered a 5-fold increase, with some of their power bills skyrocketing from a mere $27.51 to $114.50. Over on Bimini, the average light bill soared from $145.62 in October 2017 to $252.09 in October of this year. In the meantime, Davis says the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority has become a toothless tiger.
The Prime Minister must say whether or not the legal regulatory authority, ERCA, the seemingly and increasingly toothless tiger, is involved in this process. BPL and the government appear to have bypassed a very essential body and has unilaterally imposed a rate hike on the Bahamian consumer.
As for Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson's assertion that 63,000 households would benefit from government's decision to raise the VAT exemption ceiling on BPL bills of $300 or less, Davis says, yeah, right.
First thing has to appreciate is how many persons are now in darkness because they have not been able to pay their bills over the last 6 or 9 months. The disconnections they have to first look at. Having been the minister responsible for BEC, I am unable to say that number seems to have just been pulled out of the hat to me.
Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Tude.
All right, thanks, Vonique. Still to come, Marvin Dames defends Defense Force divers amid criticism over search and rescue efforts. Plus, government officials to meet with gaming house operators this week. Stay tuned.